Hello, welcome viewers. In this particular session, we will be discussing with respect to uh, the IR spectrum, how we analyze any given IR spectrum, and what are the approaches when you have an IR spectrum uh, at hand. What are the different aspects you are supposed to go through, and this topic is about how to analyze an IR spectrum and what can you tell at a glance. So myself, Dr. Girish Hampanama, Assistant Professor, Department of Pharmaceutical Chemistry, KLE College of Pharmacy, Vidyanagar, Hubli, will be engaging in this session about how to analyze an IR spectrum, and we'll be discussing about what's the actual approach we follow when we have an IR spectrum, or rather, what can we uh, tell at very first instance when we go through the IR spectrum. So in this particular slide, I am trying to depict the various approximate regions of various common types of bonds and where do they have or where do they show absorption. So I have tried to represent from 650 wave number to 4000 wave number. So as we have discussed in the previous session, it is usually the 400 to 4000 centimeter inverse, but rather we exclude the region from 400 to 650. Rather, that is not much practically used, so we start with 650, and we already know that from 400 to 1300, somewhere around here, we call this as fingerprint region, and from 1300 centimeter inverse to 4000 centimeter inverse, we call this as a functional group region. So this particular thing we have discussed in the previous episodes. I will not like, or rather, I will not go much into detail of this functional group region or fingerprint region. In this picture, we can see there is a demarcation of these various function groups which have been demarked at a particular wave numbers, or I have tried to show them in a particular boxes or for one particular color. This means, for example, in this particular box onto my extreme left, it is the OH, NH and CH functionalities which are visible in this particular wave number region, that is 2500 to 4000 centimeter inverse. Likewise, C triple bond C and C triple bond N, or any functionalities like X double bond C double bond Y, where X and Y could be C, O, N or S. Okay, so these all three functionalities will appear between 2000 to 2500 wave number, and I have written very few bands in this particular region, that is from 1800 to 2000. That is because we don't practically see any bands, or rather we rarely see any bands in this particular region. That's why I have mentioned it as very few bands in this particular region, that is from 1800 to 2000. And in this particular region, that is 1650 to 1800, we only see carbonyl functional group. This is a very peculiar uh, functionality where this functionality occupies this set of uh, region, that is from 1650 to 1800. There is no other functionality which actually happens along with this carbonyl functionality. So during the subsequent discussion, we will understand the importance of this particular carbonyl functionality and how it actually helps in the approach of analyzing any given IR spectrum. And from 1550 to 1650 wave number, it is C double bond N and C double bond C. So just to highlight, the double bonds will be visible in this 1550 to 1650 wave number region, and you can see triple bonds here and mostly the single bonds here. So that is how we can memorize and recollect this particular wave number regions. And after 1650 to 1550 we have 1550 to 600 centimeter inverse, and in this particular set of region we have a overlapping nitro group which is being overlapped uh, in this particular box, and in this particular box I will signify, or I will tell you why is the reason for this NO2 being overlapped on these particular two different regions. In the subsequent discussion, it is because of the asymmetric and the symmetric stretch of this nitro group. Since those asymmetric and symmetric stretch lies exactly uh, in between this 1550, that's why I have tried to represent this nitro groups as the overlapping between this box and this box. And you can see here the C single bond C and C single bond N, C single bond O, C single bond Cl, C single bond Br. They usually happen along this gradient in this particular box. So we know that electronegativity of oxygen and nitrogen we have discussed well in the previous episode, that oxygen is more electronegative than nitrogen. If at all they happen along with any functionality, due to the mesomeric effect, we have seen the carbonyl functionality in the anhydrides, how it is being affected by this oxygen or nitrogen, or how there is a shift of the carbonyl functionality which is attached to this particular carbon, and how that carbonyl functionality or the absorption value of that particular carbonyl functionality is being shifted because of the variance in the electronegativity of this oxygen and nitrogen. And if you see the chlorine being more electronegative than bromine, then which is more electronegative than iodine, they happen along with this particular gradient. And as I go towards 650, it is C single bond iodine, I mean I. That is how we tend to observe all of these functionalities in this set of regions. So as I have mentioned earlier, the fingerprint region we are not much worried. Rather, they do not help us to uh, identify anything more crucial about a given molecule. Rather, it is the functional group region which helps us to draw more important conclusions on any given set of molecule. So, and we also know that the stretching vibrations usually happen towards 4000, and the bending vibrations happen towards 650. Since the bending vibrations do not need much energy, they happen uh, up till approximately 1500. The bending vibrations happen from 400 to 1500 wave number, and after 1500 to 4000, it is the stretching vibrations, and stretching vibrations sometimes also appear between 400 to 1500 wave number regions, but the bending vibrations, it is limited between 400 to 1500 wave number. Much concerned about the bending vibrations throughout this particular discussion. Rather, we are very much interested in only the stretching vibrations of any functionalities which we are discussing henceforth. So, coming to the next slide, where we actually try to discuss the approach in analyzing an IR spectrum, and it is what can we tell at a very first glance. That is what we are trying to discuss in this subsequent episode. So, when analyzing a spectrum of an unknown compound, concentrate your first efforts on determining the presence or absence of few major functional groups. So, when we are analyzing any given IR spectrum, we are supposed to concentrate on few major functional groups, whether they are present or whether they are absent. So, which are those major functional groups? Those major functional groups are the carbonyl, OH, NH, C single bond O, C double bond C, C triple bond C, C triple bond N, and NO2. So these are the major functional groups where we are supposed to identify these major functional group at a very first instance, and then look for if these functional groups are present, in order to determine or in order to conclude with which functional group may be possibly present. We usually go for the next observation, and then we usually end up having some conclusion about the nature of the given molecule. So if we have these major functional groups, if they are conspicuous and give immediate structure information if they are present, and we are not supposed to go and look for much of this C single bond H stretching absorption near 3000, because almost all the compounds, whether they are aliphatic or aromatic, they do show these stretching vibrations, that is C single bond H stretching vibrations. Rather, these C single bond H stretching vibrations do not give any important conclusions when we are looking at an IR spectrum, but in conjugation with these observations, if you see the major functional groups and then compare with these CH observations, then we can actually try to find out whether the molecule is aromatic or aliphatic, or what is the nature of this CH, whether it is sp, sp2 or sp3 hybridized compound. So we will come to that part in very detail when we are going for a subsequent examples in this particular session. And we are not supposed to worry about any sublets of the exact environment in which the functional group is found. And we are not supposed to worry. Basically what it means is we are not supposed to worry about the delicacy of the environment in which these functional groups are present. Rather, whether they are present or absent is what we are actually looking for. But we cannot draw any conclusion about the immediate neighborhood in this IR spectroscopy. And since the neighboring environment is having a lot of crucial role on the absorption patterns of these functionalities, they may either shift towards 4000 or towards 400. Sometimes that depends on the immediate neighborhood of these particular functional groups. Coming to the first thing, what we have or what we are supposed to look at when we have an IR spectrum in front of us, is a carbonyl group present? That is the very first question we actually look if you have any given IR spectrum. At an instance, for instance, I mean, you are supposed to look at whether the carbonyl group is present or not. So if it is present, it gives a strong absorption in the region of 1650 to 1800. That is what I had just now mentioned here. 1650 to 1800. This is the very first region which we tend to look in the IR spectrum when we have a given spectrum at our hand. So if there is a peak, I mean to say, if there is a strong peak, I said in the previous episode that the peaks can be of three different size and shapes. It could be either weak, either medium, or strong. Weak is a very small peak, whereas the medium is a bit stronger peak, and the strong peak is having the highest intensity. That is how we classify weak, medium, and strong absorption. So if you have any strong absorption in this particular region, that is 1650 to 1800, that peak usually corresponds to the carbonyl group. If that carbonyl is present, which is often the strongest peak in the spectrum and of medium width, the width of this peak is medium, but it is oftenly the strongest peak if it is present. This peak is the strongest peak in this particular spectrum, and usually we don't miss it. It is that prominent, usually we don't miss it. So if that region, that is 1650 to 1800, if you find any peak which is very much strong, then it is one of these possibilities, or that spectra could be one of these class, or it could be having one of these class of molecules. So if that carbonyl peak is present in the region of 1650 to 1800, we are supposed to check these following things, where it could be either acid or either amide, either esters or anhydrides, aldehydes, or ketones. If you have a strong carbonyl peak in the given spectrum, that spectrum says that it might be the spectrum of molecule which could either be acid, amide, ester, anhydride, aldehyde, or ketone. So usually once we looked at strongest peak in the region of 1650 to 1800, we should also look for these particular set of possibilities, whether the molecule is acid, amide, ester, anhydride, aldehyde, or ketone. So the next thing what we go and look out for is there also another peak which is OH, if it is also present, and if it is present we find a broad absorption near 1340 or 3400 to 2400. Usually this overlaps on this CH absorption region, because CH absorption region happens around 3000 wave number. So if there is a strong broad absorption peak, that could possibly be an acid. Okay, so we know that acid is RCOOH. Okay, so if this CO is present, and if you look for this OH, if there is another broad peak at this particular wave number region, that is 2400 to 3400, if there is a broad peak at this particular region, then directly we can tell that our given molecule or the spectra is corresponding to an acid. So I would like to take you to the next slide, then come back. This is the spectra of an acid, where I have taken butanoic acid as an example. You can see the carbonyl group and the OH group. So at first instance, what we do is we look at the spectra. Okay, for instance, imagine that you don't have this particular structure here. So when I have given you this particular spectra, what I insist you guys to do is just look at this particular region, that is 1650 to 1800 region. If there is a strong peak here, if there is a strong peak, and as I mentioned, this peak is the strongest peak in this particular spectrum. You can see the intensity is almost 100%, whereas the none of the peak is as strong as this particular peak. So if you find this strongest peak in this particular region, that is 1650 to 1800, that is possibly the carbonyl functionality. So once we have this carbonyl functionality, we should look back here in this particular region, that is, as I mentioned, in the region of 2400 to 3400. So this uh, wave number in this wave number region, if you find a broad peak, or broad absorption peak, and as I mentioned, this broad absorption peak usually overlaps on the CH region. We cannot differentiate the CH peak here and the OH peak. If this is such a broad peak, then usually it is an acid. And just to tell you one rule of thumb, that the OH absorption for this acid, what we have, the wave absorption region, it is almost the 1000 wave number difference we have, that is starting from 2400 and ending up to 3400. This is the longest or I mean to say the broadest peak what we get, and the moment we have the broadest peak onto the left, which is almost covering 1000 wave number region, then blindly I can tell that is belonging to a particular acid, or that molecule. I can simply tell that molecule is an acid. Okay, so this was about if you have a situation where we have a broad absorption spectrum region in the absorption region from 2400 to 3400, then blindly we can tell that this molecule is an acid. So coming back to the second possibility, when the CO is present, I again look for the functional group region. If I find a medium absorption peak near 3400, if I find any peak, sometimes that peak may be a double peak or a doublet with two peaks of equal heights. I usually call them as equivalent halves. So I look back in this particular region onto the left side of the spectrum. I draw your attention to this particular slide or this particular image, where I have taken amide as an example. So it is an RCONH R. Okay, so this is an amide functionality. I have a carbonyl, and imagine I have not given you this particular structure. I have given the spectra. So look for the strongest peak. If you have any peak in this particular region, that is 1650 to 1800, yeah, we have a peak here, and this particular peak is telling us about this carbonyl functionality. Once we have this, once we have seen this particular peak, come back and look onto the left side of the peak, and if you see uh, a strong absorption or one particular sharp peak, which is almost more strong peak at as I mentioned at 3400, approximately 3400, then it is usually the amide. Okay, so amide, you can see it is a sort of mm, uh, it is a sort of the secondary amine, where the two hydrogens have been replaced and there is only one hydrogen which is left out with this particular nitrogen. So we see only one peak because of this NH stretch. So we have at 3326 wave number region, we have one stretching NH stretching absorption, that is because of this NH, and this carbonyl happens to be around 1650 to 1800. The sharpest peak which is present in this particular region corresponds to the carbonyl functionality. So we have the two possibilities now. If CO is present, it could be either acid or it could be either amide. There is the third possibility where it could be esters or it could be an ester. So we have if it is carbonyl functionality, along with that, if there is C single bond O also present, and if you see a strong intensity absorption in this particular region, that is from 1300 to 1000, if you see a strong intensity absorption, let me take you back through this particular slide where I have taken as ester as an example. I see the carbonyl peak here at 1650 to 1800. Yes, I have the strongest carbonyl stretch here. This peak corresponds to the carbonyl stretch, and after this I should look for C single bond O, C single bond O stretch, which is usually the strong intensity absorption which happens around 1300 to 1000. You can see uh, I see this two things where I have two different strong intensities of absorption, because I have two absorptions here, that is one at 1055, the other at 1250. So I'm looking in the region of 1300 to 1000. I can see one strong here, yeah, at 1250. This corresponds to C single bond O stretch. That is what I have written here. It is C single bond O stretch, and usually if this is there along with the carbonyl, I see if there is a Cu double bond O stretch along with C single bond O stretch, then usually that is an ester. And there is one more peak here. I will come to this CH stretch in the subsequent slide. This CH is almost present in all of the spectra. Either they are very intense or sometimes they are quite weak. Okay, so I will come to this the CH stretch in the subsequent slide, where I have taken the hybridization of the CH, whether it is aliphatic or aromatic, how it happens in the spectra. I will discuss that in very detail. So once we have the carbonyl, we also have these acids, or it could be either possibly an acid, amide, or ester. Because if you find OH, if you find NH, or if you find C single bond O, then possibly it is either of these three class of compounds. So if carbonyl is present, there is one more possibility that molecule could be is an anhydride. So I have taken an example here. If your molecule is an anhydride, it shows two carbonyl absorption near 1810 and 1760, and this is we have discussed in very detail when we tried to discuss the mesomeric effect and yeah, the mesomeric effect in particular and the conjugation. We see two peaks for anhydrides because there is one peak which is corresponding to the asymmetric stretch and the other peak corresponding to the symmetric stretch. I will take you for the anhydride spectra. Yeah, this is anhydride spectra. So first what we are supposed to do is imagine we don't have the structure here, or we don't know what this spectra is corresponding to. So first go for and look for 1650 to 1800 region. Yes, we have two peaks. Yeah, possibly you can see the W-shaped peak of this, very peculiar for anhydrides. And if you see, one is, both are corresponding to the carbonyl peaks, but one is towards the higher wave number, the other one is towards the lower wave number. The one which is towards the higher wave number, we know that that is because of the asymmetric carbonyl stretch, and the one towards the lower wave number is because of the symmetric carbonyl stretch. So that is how we distinguish uh, this anhydride, if it is an anhydride, if it is an ester, if it is an acid, or if it is an amide, just by looking on to this W-shaped peak at this particular region, that is 1650 to 1800 wave number region, we can straight away tell that this given molecule is an anhydride. And as I mentioned, this splitting of this particular peak is because of the asymmetric and the symmetric stretch which happens in the given molecule. So as possibly we have four different compounds as a possibilities now. The first is acid, the second one is amide, the third one is ester, and the fourth one is anhydride. The other possibility that have been left out is the aldehydes and ketones. So if it is aldehyde, so all these compounds are having carbonyl in them. That is the common thing what we have in all these six set of one different molecules. So let me go for the aldehyde now. If carbonyl is present, then the possibility is it an aldehyde? Yes, if it is the aldehyde, then we should look for this particular aldehyde CH. Very peculiar, very crucial information for this aldehyde CH stretch we will find in the spectra. So we find two weak absorption near 2850 and 2750 on right side of the aliphatic CH absorptions. Very important thing, when we have an aldehyde, we see these two absorptions on the right side of the aliphatic CH absorption region. I will take you through this particular set of example which I have for butyraldehyde. Now imagine we don't have the structure and we don't know what this molecule is corresponding to. So at very first instance, I simply see this. Okay, which is the strongest peak? Yeah, this is the strongest peak, and if it is happening in the region of 1650 to 1800, I can straight away tell that this is the carbonyl stretch, and in this particular case, it is happening uh, in the wave number region of 1731. And in the previous discussion, we have seen the carbonyl functionality. The wave absorption region for this carbonyl functionality, it varies based on the class of chemical compound we have chosen. Okay, we have taken esters, anhydrides. We have seen so many different class of chemical compounds where all were having in common the carbonyl functionality, and this CO stretch will not be the same for all the functionalities or all the molecules. Rather, it shifts, and it possibly lies in the region of 1650 to 1800. That is the general wave number region what we have tried to demark this carbonyl stretch as. So depends on the immediate neighborhood of this carbonyl group. If there is a lot of electron withdrawing group, or if it is a steric effect, or if there are any bulky groups, all those factors contribute for the appearance of this carbonyl functionality. So we don't have any fixed region for this carbonyl group. Rather, they vary 10 plus or minus 10 to 20 wave number regions than the actual theoretical values. So we should be very careful when we are actually selecting this wave number regions. So I was talking about the carbonyl. Once we have seen this carbonyl functionalities, we go for looking for acid, amides, esters, and anhydrides, no splitting, and the possibility is at 3000. Yeah, let me tell you that thing here. You can see the CH stretch is happening in this particular region, that is around 3000 wave number region. There are some peaks which happen to be around 3000 wave number region, and if the molecule is totally aliphatic molecule, then all the CH stretch will be below 3000. I'll repeat, if the molecule is aliphatic, all the CH stretch which I see will be below 3000. So if it is an aldehyde, we usually see two weak absorptions near, as I mentioned, near 2850, and the other one is at 2750. If you see these two weak absorptions which are following this aliphatic CH stretch, okay, which is on to the right of this aliphatic CH stretch, if you see two peaks which are very much similar in height, and if these two peaks are just after these aliphatic CH peaks, then onto the right side of this aliphatic CH absorption peaks, then possibly it is because of this aldehyde, and that CH, this particular CH of the aldehyde, is the one which is giving these two CH stretches for this particular aldehyde. So the rest, the CH3, the CH2, are the one which are being represented here. This is CH3 and this is CH2, the stretch what we find in the given particular molecule. So that was about an aldehyde where we see two weak absorptions near 2850 and 2750 on right side of the aliphatic CH absorptions. So this is very peculiar for an aldehyde functionality. So the next possibility is and the last possibility, if we have the carbonyl group, then the possibility is the last possibility is whether it is a ketone. So if we have all these preceding five choices, if none of this is applying, then the remaining option and the last option is the ketone. Possibly the molecule could be a ketone. The preceding five choices, if they have been eliminated, then possibly it is a ketone. So I have the strongest peak here in the region of 1650 to 1800. Yes, this is a carbonyl stretch, and imagine we don't have this structure, and if you see a CH stretch here at 29991, this gives there is no peak after 3000. Immediately after 3000, then it means it is an aliphatic compound, and if there are peaks after 3000, if there are CH peaks after 3000, then the molecule could be aromatic. So that is how we distinguish this aliphatic or whether the molecule is aliphatic or aromatic, just by looking on the onto this CH stretch. If they are immediately after 3000, then it is aromatic, or if it is below 3000, it is purely aliphatic molecule. So what we look here is, if you have the CH stretch below 3000, then possibly we end up concluding that is because of CH3 or CH2 stretch. This particular peak is because of CH3, and the small peak you can see here is because of the CH2 stretch. So that is possibly how we approach and conclude how the spectra could possibly for all these class of all these six different class of molecules, if there is a carbonyl which is present in the spectra. So there is another possibility, if there is no carbonyl peak, then what we do, we go to directly to number 3. So what is number 3? Number 3 is, if carbonyl is absent, then the possibility is the molecule could be alcohol or phenol, or it could be amine, or it could be ether. So we'll be looking onto these possibilities in this particular discussion. So if carbonyl is absent in this particular given spectra, then possibly it could be either of these chemical class of molecule. So it could be alcohol, it could be phenol, it could be amine, or it could be ethers. So if carbonyl is absent, we can go back and check for OH. Okay, if carbonyl is absent and OH is present, as a broad absorption near 3400 to 3300. So then possibly it could be an OH or alcohol, and we can confirm this by finding the carbonyl C single bond O near 1300 to 1000, as we did this for ester. If uh, if we look for C single bond O by looking onto this particular region. So if you do that, then we will possibly conclude that whether this molecule is an alcohol or whether it is a phenol. So I have an alcohol as an example where I'm not finding the carbonyl peak here at 1650 to 1800. I'm not finding any peak. So then possibly the carbonyl is absent. So if the carbonyl is absent, the possibility of the molecule being either acid, amide, ester, anhydride, aldehyde or ketone is ruled out. So it could be either alcohol, phenol, amines or ethers. So there is carbonyl, there is no carbonyl present here. So what I do is I go back to this functional group region and I can see a broad, not broad, I can tell it as not broad as the acid peak, because that was covering almost 1,000 wave number region. This is a bit smaller, narrow peak compared to that acid. So it covers almost uh, 100 wave number region, whereas the acid was covering the 1,000 wave number region. If it is covering the 100 wave number region, it is usually the alcohol or the OH stretch, and the OH stretch of acid is the one which is covering the 1,000 wave number region, and the simple OH stretch is covering only the 100 wave number region. This is very important, crucial information which we should remember. Some people will confuse the OH peaks of an acid and an alcohol. So we need to look the difference in the wave number region. If it is 1,000, then usually it is acid. If it is 100, usually it is alcohol. So this region gives a lot of information to distinguish whether it is an alcohol or whether it is an acid. So we have this particular broad absorption near 3300 to 3400. So this we call it as the OH stretch, and this is possibly an alcohol. So below to 3000 we have some peaks, that is because of the CH3 and CH2. We have CH3 and CH2, and since this molecule is aliphatic, there are no double bonds here. We don't have any CH or sp2 or sp hybridized bonds, so we don't have any peaks after 3000. So that is how we usually conclude and observe the CH peaks. So that was about alcohol. So the next possibility is whether the molecule is okay. I said we are supposed to confirm by looking onto the carbonyl stretch, C single bond, so not carbonyl, it is C single bond O stretch at 1300 to 1000 wave number region. Yeah, we can see these two peaks at 1300 to 1000 wave number region. Then these are possibly because of the C single bond O stretch. So this is C single bond O stretch, and if you confirm this and if you confirm this, which is having 100 wave number difference, so possibly the molecule is alcohol. So after this we are supposed to go and look if there is carbonyl absent. Then we are supposed to go look for any absorption peaks near 3400. If you have any medium absorptions near 3400, usually it is an amine. So I have an amine here. So amine, I have two different IR spectra where I have some very important information to share. Amines, we usually have primary, secondary, and tertiary amines. So tertiary I'm not discussing, whereas I'm discussing the primary as well as the secondary amines. The primary amines, usually I have taken aniline as an example, and the secondary amine I have taken diethylamine as an example. So the difference between the primary and the secondary amine is, in the primary only one hydrogen is being replaced, whereas in the secondary amine two hydrogens of this N nitrogen has been replaced. And so that is how we say these are the primary amines and the secondary amines. The primary amines spectra is very peculiar, and we usually see the W-shaped peak in this function group region, and that is around 3400 we see these two different split peaks. I can call it also as a doublet peak, where in which these are of the medium absorption intensity, not too strong, uh, not too weak. I call this as a weak, this as medium intensity, and this as the strongest peak. So that is how we differentiate three kinds of peak. And I have a medium intensity two peaks here at 3400 or around 3400. I can possibly tell there is an NH2 NH stretch, and since it is NH and NH, it happens to be a symmetric and asymmetric stretch. The one at 3480 is because of asymmetric, and the one at 3395 is because of the symmetric stretch. So once we have this, if there is no carbonyl, we usually go look for this particular functional group region. And if there are medium absorption, two peaks of medium intensity at 3400, then we usually tell that we have a primary amine. So if there is only one peak at 3400, I mean to say in this particular molecule it is 3288 wave number region. If you have one small peak, then usually it is the secondary amine, which shows as a small medium intensity peak. So that is how we distinguish the primary and secondary amines. And as I just now said, since it is an aromatic CH, there are some peaks after 3000. You can see after 3000 we have plenty of peaks. All these peaks corresponds to this CH stretch, aromatic CH stretch. And in this particular molecule, you can see there are a lot of peaks just below 3000. That is because of CH3 and CH2 stretching absorptions, and all of them are below 3000. So that was the observation for amines. Uh, and the next possibility is, and the last possibility would be whether the molecule is an ether. If it is so, then we need to check for the C single bond O near 1300 to 1000 wave number, and absence of OH near 3400. If there is no OH, and if there is only uh, C single bond O peak at 1300 to 1000, then it is usually the ether. As I mentioned, the ether, there will be a sort of two different peaks. Okay, let me go. Yeah, yeah, ether. You can see there are two. Yeah, this particular set of example we have a broken or the splits, too many splits here. So I have taken methyl N-propyl ether. We don't have any OH peak. There is no OH peak at 3400. If you see, it is 3000. At 3000, below 3000, we have so many peaks which are corresponding to CH stretch because it is an aliphatic molecule. After 3000, we don't have any peaks. That is because this molecule is not an aromatic molecule. And go beyond 3000, around 3400, there are no any peaks. So there are no OH peaks. Then if it is so, then it is the possible molecule could be an ether. So if it is so, then we are supposed to look in the region of 1300 to 1000, where we will find this set of peaks. That is because of C single bond O stretch. And if it is C single bond O stretch in this particular region, that is 1300 to 1000, then we usually call this particular molecule as an ether. So this is how we possibly follow and classify the given organic molecules just based on their IR spectra. So the next possibility is having double bonds and or aromatic rings. So if it is a double bond or if it is an aromatic ring, we find this C double bond C weak absorption near 1650. I will go back to that block diagram what I had initially spoken about, where we have this C double bond C between 1550 to 1650. We should look for this set of C double bond C if the molecule is aromatic, because we have this C double bond C or the double bonds in the aromatic compounds. So if you see the C double bond C has a weak absorption near 1650 and medium to strong absorptions in the region of 1600 to 1450, these often imply an aromatic ring. So these peaks at this set of wave number region, they imply that the molecule is an aromatic, and also confirm the double bond or aromatic rings by consulting the CH region, which I have just now mentioned. The aromatic and vinyl CH occurs to the left of 3000. The aliphatic CH stretch occurs right to this value. Right to this value means below 3000. Aromatic or vinyl stretch occur left, I mean to say above 3000 wave number region. So I have one example here for an aromatic uh, molecule. This particular observation, what we have here at uh, 1650, somewhere around here, is because of the C double bond C uh, uh, stretching absorption bands. And if you find any medium to strong absorption in this particular 1450 1450 to 1600, usually these set of peaks are usually the contribution of the C double bond C wave number region. And as I have mentioned in the box in the very beginning, 1550 to 1650, usually the broad region of 1550 to 1650 is usually the C double bond C, which is nothing but the aromatic uh, uh, class of molecule. So, and that is one information how we conclude that the given molecule is aromatic. And if you see, I have drawn a line just to demark the left and the right across this 3000 value. As I mentioned, after 3000, I mean to say towards 4000, towards left, if you find any peaks, those peaks are because of the sp2 or the sp hybridization, or I mean to say it is the ch stretch which is happening because of the aromatic class of molecules. And below 3000, below this red line what I have drawn, if it is below, we have some peaks below 3000, then that is because of sp3 hybridized state, or it is because of the aliphatic ch stretch. And we have also seen that could be uh, also because of an aldehyde ch stretch. So aldehyde ch, if aldehyde is present, we have some peaks here, two different of equal intensities. We have those two peaks here after this ch peaks. So that is how we classify a molecule, whether it is aliphatic or whether it is aromatic, based on this ch absorptions near 1650 as well as near to 3000. So that is how we conclude this double bonds or aromatic rings. The next is the triple bonds. As I mentioned in the very first block diagram, the triple bond usually happen around uh, 2000 to 2500 wave number region. And C triple bond N or C triple bond C are the two things which is possibly as a triple bond we can find in the IR spectrum. C triple bond N is a medium sharp absorption near 2250, and C triple bond C is a weak sharp absorption near 2150, and check also for acetylenic CH near 3300. So I have one example here just to describe this. I have one example where I have taken C triple bond N, I have taken C triple bond C, and as I mentioned, we have medium intensity peak at 2250, which we have here, and that C triple bond that corresponds to C triple bond N in this particular set of example. And if it is C double bond C, we have uh, C triple bond C, we have a weak sharp. Here this peak is the medium peak, and here we have a weak peak. You can see the difference in the intensity. This is very weak because the intensity is very less. It is a medium peak. We call this as medium peak because the transmittance is almost 50%, and I can call this as the strongest peak because the transmittance is almost more than 50%. So that is how we classify weak, medium, and strong peaks. And if you have a weak peak at 2150, that is usually C triple bond C stretch, and if you have medium uh, peak at 2250, that is usually because of C triple bond N. And you can also check for acetylenic CH stretch near 3300. If that is the case, yeah, this is the acetylenic CH stretch. If you have any CH stretch at 3300, then that is because of the virtue of this C single bond H stretch, which is this carbon, whereas this carbon is attached to the other carbon with the triple bonds. This we call it as acetylenic CH stretch, and they usually happen at 3300 wave number region. So the possibility could be the nitro group. The next possibility could be the nitro groups. There are two strong absorptions at 1600 to 1530 and 1390 to 1300. If that is the case, I would like to bring your attention back to the box where I had shown the overlapping region, where you could see this particular set of region, which is between or I mean the values are on the either side of this 1550. If it is so, then usually it is the nitro group, and the two strong absorptions at 1650 and 1650 to 1530 and 1390 to 1300, usually it is because of, yeah, 1600 to 1530 and 1390 to 1300, it is usually because of this nitro group. And you can see there is a possibility of I mean to say asymmetric and symmetric stretch because of this oxygen and nitrogen, this oxygen and nitrogen. There is possibility of asymmetric and symmetric stretch, and we already know that the asymmetric stretch happen at the higher wave number, whereas the symmetric stretch will happen at the lower wave number. And the first example I have taken here is an aliphatic nitro compounds, and if it is an aliphatic nitro compound, the asymmetric stretch will be a bit strong peak, and the region where it appears is the 1600 to 1530 centimeter inverse, whereas the symmetric stretch for this aliphatic nitro compound, it happens in the region of 1390 to 1300, and this symmetric is the medium peak, whereas the asymmetric is the strong peak. If you see this difference in the peak intensities, then we can tell that this is an aliphatic nitro compound where the symmetry of these two peak is not the same. I mean to say one peak is strong, the other peak is the medium peak. And the other possibility is the nitro could be on an aromatic ring, where I have taken this as an example. And if it is so, the asymmetric stretch is strong and the symmetric stretch is also strong. That is how we can differentiate between the aromatic nitro and the aliphatic nitro just by looking onto these asymmetric and symmetric peak intensities. Here in the aromatic, the peak intensity of this asymmetric and the symmetric are almost the same. So the wave number region for asymmetric is 1550 to 1490, and the wave number region for symmetric stretch, it is 1355 to 1315. So that is how we can differentiate between the aliphatic and the aromatic nitro compound just by looking onto their peak intensities of symmetric and asymmetric stretch. Then the last possibility is, we have seen the aromatic, we have seen so many functionalities. The last possibility is the molecule being the hydrocarbon. If your molecule is hydrocarbon, none of the preceding, if it is found, then your molecule could be an hydrocarbon. Major absorption are in the region of CH absorption region, that is near 3000, not above 3000 but below to 3000. A very simple spectrum we get. The only other absorptions we find are near 1460 and 1375. Those two peaks at 1460 and 1375 are because of CH scissoring and CH methyl rock. So I have a spectrum here where it shows the CH stretch below to 3000 and since they are below to 3000, it corresponds to the aliphatic CH stretch. And there are two peaks at 1470 and 1383, as I mentioned. This two peaks at 1460 and 1375, which according to literature it should be 1460 and 1375. But in this observed spectrum in the octane, it is at 1470 and 1383. It is because of CH scissoring and CH methyl rocking. So these are the scissoring and rocking vibrations. We find these two peaks. So the hydrocarbons peculiarly have absorptions below 3000, and if they have this major absorptions, or the absorptions appear if they appear at 1460 and 1375, then usually it is an hydrocarbon. Then the next possibility is, it is not the next thing I mean to say. We ended up here, the class of molecules. Those are the class of molecules which are possibly maybe happening. So the next information which I would like to share here is with respect to the CH stretch region. If it is methyl, if it is methylene, if it is methane. So what is the possible wave number region where it may appear? I will only speak about the asymmetric. CH3 may happen at 2962, CH2 may happen at 2926, and methane could happen at 2890. So the CH3 happens onto the extreme left towards 4000, followed by CH2, followed by methane. So that is how the hybridization state of this CH, the stretching vibrations will vary with respect to the sp3 hybridized CH bonds. So we should be knowing about this when we are trying to find out what kind of CH stretching is happening in a given molecule, whether it is CH3, whether it is CH2, or whether it is the CH methane. And we don't speak much about these bending vibrations, but I would like to highlight this CH bending vibration just for sake of knowledge. This CH bending vibrations, I have taken two cases. Here, if it is uh, this kind of molecule ending modeling like isopropyl kind of molecule, this CH bending patterns will look like very small peaks here, or very less intense peaks. If it is a tertiary kind of compound, we get these CH bending vibrations somewhat like this. So though we are not much worried about the bending vibrations throughout this discussion, but I thought just for sake of knowledge, the CH bending pattern should be known. And we are comparing the intensities of the carbonyl and the cis double bond C absorption bands, because both being the double bonds, the only variation is the oxygen and carbon here, the rest being the same. And accordingly, we know that oxygen is more electronegative when compared to this carbon. The more electronegativity leads to the shortening of this bond, and if there is a shortening of this bond, the absorption happens at the higher wave number region. That's why the carbonyl appear at the higher wave number compared to the C double bond C. So I have a spectra or a representation here where the carbonyl peak is followed by the C double bond C peak. So usually it is the carbonyl peak which appears towards the left first, and followed by the carbon C double bond C onto the right. So if a molecule is having both the carbonyl and C double bond C, then this is how the spectra usually looks like. So this is a simplified correlation chart which was taken from a Pavia Introduction to Spectroscopy textbook. So since it is not that clear, I request you to refer to the textbook to have the various regions and the intensities of this particular set of uh, class of organic molecules or the functionalities, which is the continued for table here. It is better to memorize this particular set of tables so that the interpretation of an IR spectrum becomes very easy. So with this, I am concluding with an approach to analyze an IR spectrum just by I have taken all of these organic classes that possibly you may encounter, and this is how we analyze and give an IR spectrum. I hope this session was quite clear. So if you have any doubts, I request you to note down the doubts so that we can clarify them during the doubt clearing session. So thank you very much for your patience and uh, uh, I request you all to go through all my previous episodes, which have been flashing on this particular slide now. So thank you very much.